Slip the clutch and the ball no struck. I'm
Welcome
heading
to our
for the boat.
presentation featuring the
Well, I never
winners
say
of the
goodbye to the
Small
woman
Farm
this time, and
Innovation
I left for a note.
hosted by the
Well,
Small Farm
I'm up
Fund
3
at
steps in
Community
heaven.
Science.
Well, on the highway to hell, and I know it'll be a while before I say goodbye, 'cause I know you're looking well. Hey! It was just my luck to be given a truck with a naked of a load, and 5 screws and a hammer, an adjustable spanner, and a roaring V8 stove. The tachograph was turning black as I passed the London eye, with one eye on the road and the other on the phone, took a selfie passing by. Hauling chains and cranes on roads and lanes, and slurrying money by the ton, blowing their horn loud, go through the towns and starting to run their run. Hauling wood and grub on the stubble dry tub as the road was rubbing the flaps. Well, there was a good laugh to a broke a half shaft and busted the gearbox. 50 ton plus and 40 foot behind, 24.
So why is this challenge so important? Tools and technology can help farmers improve efficiency, save labor, and connect with their customers. But many of the innovations in agriculture today are being built for large-scale production, which is out of reach for most family farms, all while contributing to ecological degradation and yet more consolidation in the industry, perpetuating a vicious cycle. So coupled with get big or get out ideology, it would seem that technology has left smaller farms behind, all to the detriment of rural economies, social equity, and even the health, sustainability, and quality of our food. But does it have to be this way? So that's why the Innovation Challenge was launched, is to get at some of these big questions, like tech sovereignty, who controls the data that's being produced today by our small farm? What's the right to repair with some of our tractors and access to other appropriate tools? And farmers around the world carry a huge swath of knowledge and innovation. So let's raise that up and bring it to the table. And let's use our collective knowledge to build back better. Right now, the USDA is investing over $4 billion to strengthen our local food system. So CAF is looking forward to contributing to that discussion and bringing small farmers a bigger voice in regards to innovation around these technologies. Here's something to highlight, another reason why this is so important, and also why this Innovation Challenge is a global competition. Small farms and landholders across the world are facing similar responses. In case folks didn't see this news headline come out last September, this was a global response and boycott, which occurred at the UN Food Summit in September. And as more investment is made in ag technologies, we aim to make sure the small farm is not left behind, with a seat at the table instead of being on the table. Farmers across the world have been speaking up on this issue, and this is just highlighting some of that work that farmers have been doing. So with the Small Farm Innovation Challenge, we hope to add fuel to this effort and provide a platform for strengthening food and tech sovereignty for the small farm. So this brings us to the Innovation Challenge. I wanted to highlight the winner of the last Innovation Challenge, which occurred in 2019, which was the farmhand tractor. He has made his innovation into a business reality, was selected as part of the 2021 cohort for the Business Accelerator Program Food System 6. And he's been doing great with taking that momentum from the Innovation Challenge. And I want to highlight a fun video of his that he put together. All right, go Farmer Dave. Yes, congratulations to Farmer Dave for being one of those last winners. And now we have our other winning innovations that we'd like to highlight to you all. These are all going to be videos from the three winners of this year. We have the No Dig removable end post created by Kyle and Bryce over at Magooga Ranch. Harvest Path, which is created by Carrie and Tom Richards at Richards Grass Fed Beef. And Handy, which is created by Curly, the mentor and founder at Curly's Ag, based all the way out of Australia. So I wanted to do a big congratulations to these three winners. We have these three categories, as you see, that will also be up for other people to submit innovations coming this summer. So yeah, let's take a look and see what these winners have to show us. Congratulations to them.
You feel like you've been doing nothing but digging holes for your impost since you were 5 years old?
Camera. Take pictures.
I want to show you a better way that I figured out how to do this job. What do you think, Walter? Yeah?
I'm Bryce Crejon.
And I'm Kyle Farmer.
Thank you for recognizing and awarding us for our no-dig removable end post.
So why would you want to build a no-dig removable impost? Let me start with why you might not want to. I think if you got access to your own wood, first of all, you are really cool. If you're able to, you got some black locust growing, or maybe you got some lodgepole pines growing and you're, cutting your own lumber and building your own fences with it, that's way better. Maybe also you don't have good access to U-channel here. Here in wine country, these are pretty common in-posts. They actually don't do a brace on them, but they've got them at the end holding up 14 gauge wire. But maybe you're in some part of the country that I've never been to, and you don't have access to the U-channel. They're also known as highway stakes, so you might be able to find them that way. I know you can get them online as well. Maybe they're really expensive at that point. So it's really, you're relying on access to U-channel. But other than that, I'd say it's the best kind of post I've ever built. Bryce and I have built H-braces together, your standard H-braces. I mean, if you're leasing land, it's going to be near the landowner's house. Maybe that's the one to build. It's a nice looking end post. We designed this end post concept iteratively. We never sat down and said, how are we going to figure out the best end post to build? It's a modification of every end post design I've ever seen, and ultimately the reason I think it works is I can't figure out a way to make it any simpler. I think if you look at something and you're like, that's about as simple as it can get, you might be onto something. So the biggest advantage to this post design is simply the speed of installation. At the end of this video, you'll see Bryce and I build an end post from start to finish in 2.5 minutes. Maybe somebody can do that with an H-brace, but it's not me. Another advantage of this design is it can be installed in winter, when you might have better opportunities to do that kind of work. The biggest is the speed. Another great aspect of this post design is that you can do a lot of the work for the impost in the shop. We'll show you just the basic build of the notch. It's the kind of thing you can probably look at it and figure out yourself, but might as well. And doing that in the shop, in the shade, out of the rain, at night, after you put your kids to bed, it just really works with a rancher's workflow to be able to get those imposts built before you're out in the field, so you can really just put out a bunch of fence when you're in the field building fence. comes to gates, I'm sure there's a better way than what I figured out so far, but what I've been doing is a fiberglass rod with pre-drilled holes. Take some of your electric netting that's already fallen apart and find some good pieces out of it. You've got yourself a gate.
And thank you so much. We're really honored and excited to be chosen for the Innovation Award. And what we're going to talk about today, both my sister and I. So my name's Tom Richards. My sister Carrie Richards is on with us, and we're going to kind of go back and forth as we talk about our software solution that we call Harvest Path. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Carrie real quick, and we're going to play a video.
We have 6,500 acres. We have probably holistically grazed just under 1,000 of it. Since we have focused more on ranching regeneratively, the pastures and the riparian areas seem to be healing themselves. The soil's taking on more water, holding more water, and we don't have irrigation. So seeing all this wavy grass in almost July is so exciting. I'm really trying all the stops to get the animals themselves to be more resilient and the land itself, and I think obviously it's all connected. The principles that we are focusing on our grazing plan: consolidating the animals, so more animals in a smaller area, densing them up to about 50 animals per acre. They are going to dung and urine, which is going to fertilize, take half, and then they trample half, so it could go back into the soil. Bring in the sheep right behind the cattle. If you're moving them through the pasture quick enough, you can break the parasite cycle. We want to make sure to give our pastures the right amount of rest. We don't want to go back in too soon and overgraze. I'm excited to be a part of a business selling meat that I would feed my family any day of the week. I would tell other families to buy it, and I can stand behind it wholeheartedly. And now that I know more about soil and that I can use my animals to actually improve the soil and not like cause further harm to the earth, I feel like I have found exactly where I need to be. Oh, yeah, if you could go to the next slide, that'd be awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. That was just a little video kind of about our business and how we operate on our ranch. The software that we've developed, basically, we started it because of our certifications, and we needed to track those animals, and we needed to make sure that they were being fed only grass, and we had to be able to prove that to our certifiers when we first joined American Grass Fed back in 2012. So that was the original reason why we started Harvest Path, was so that we could prove to those that we were selling to that we were practicing what we preached. And so anyway, it started there, and then eventually we moved on to taking on the land to market verification, which does water infiltration and carbon measurements on a yearly basis. And so now we are using our software system to track animals that are also from that certification, so that we can make sure everybody that we buy from is following the rules of these two certifications, as well as we're going to start tracking our data that we get from land to market as well. We can go to the next slide.
So that's how we got started with, or the reason we kind of started trying to figure out how to track all of these records. And, instead of doing it the traditional way of, a piece of paper nailed to the barn door, we decided to do, to create our own technology, because there really wasn't anything out there. And what we first started with was tracking animal records. was all of the birth records, tagging, grouping them into herds, locations, audits, all these kinds of things. Once we really started to get a handle on that, we realized we had to kind of move to the next step, which was when it's time to harvest them, how do we group them? How do we track the whole harvest process, all the way from shipping to the actual harvest to the yields and all those kinds of things. And then all of a sudden, once we had done that, we realized, wow, we should track inventory. And so we kind of we just kept going through the entire process until we had created, a single application that tracks all of these things that you can see on the slide here. So in addition to the animals and harvests, we do all of our inventory, all of our sales. We also track any further fabrication. So any, creation of bricks or other CPG related products. The best thing, in my opinion, about what we've done is actually at the end of the day, the reporting. Because when we really want to figure out what's going on, we're able to run all sorts of reports and dashboards and look at the data in so many different ways, which really helps us do analysis on the business. And so it's been very helpful for our business. And then we're actually going to be doing some more things too, which I'll let Carrie talk about really quick on the coming soon.
Yeah, so on the ranch side, I track the animals as well as other animals that we have on other properties. And so the feature I use the most is the herd membership because there's different categories of animals. You have calves, you have mother cows, you have finishers. So I track them all in herds and make sure to track the supplementation for each herd and the location and the costs that are associated with each herd group. So that's been really helpful for me. It's a lot of data, I realize, and I've been using less and less of the individual animal data and more of the herd data because we are growing. But all that individual animal data is in there. So this is just a little screenshot of what an individual animal data sheet looks like, and it's just part of it, and then what a herd membership looks like. So this animal was a part of the finishing herd, and they were rounded up on a couple different dates, and then they were given these vaccinations. So it's a really helpful tool on the ranch side. Okay, you can go to the next slide.
Okay, and then just a little bit more, actually if you can go back one slide real quick. I was just going to talk a little bit more about, whoops, the other direction.
Sorry.
There you go, 18, there you go. Perfect. So yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about the harvest process, right? So, what we enabled was a way to create groups of animals and basically attach them to a data object that we call a harvest or a harvest lot. And then what's really beneficial about that is we're able to see the individual animal yields, but we're also able to roll that up at kind of a harvest lot level to see things like average carcass weight, the yields, not just in terms of from the live animal to the box beef, but also from live to carcass, but also live to box beef. And then we're able to translate that all the way down to individual products, individual pricing, individual cost per product. So the harvest lot, is connected to the inventory item, and that's connected to the costing and pricing and the products. And so this was probably the most complicated piece that we built, but it's been the most invaluable in terms of the data that it provides to us. And then if you can go to the next slide, Elizabeth. So this is just a sample of some dashboard or a dashboard that we created. And this was really to track harvest yields. And so, numbers of cattle, average live weight, average price, all these different kinds of things, as well as numbers from each ranch. And this is just a sample. We have probably 100 dashboards that we use on a daily basis to track everything from yields and sales and product inventory issues and things like that. So it's been very, very helpful. And then we'll go to I think this is our last slide. And so just to give you a very simple idea of the pieces of the supply chain that we've created, the green bars here is the stuff that that we built inside of our application. And if I didn't mention this, we built this on the Salesforce platform. And so the animals and stuff you heard Carrie talk about, the harvest lot process I spoke about, there's a portion of that once it gets to the processor that we lose a little bit of transparency, but we track that manually. And then the distribution and sales. And then on the other end, on the beginning end, the part we're working on now is the soil piece and the ability to track individual pastures, soil, test sites, and then mapping of that, and then how that passes into the animal, which passes into the end product. And then on the end side is like delivery and all those kinds of things, which we have not done, and we rely on other capabilities to do that. So this kind of gives you a single picture of what we've done in total. And then
in the spare time that we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited about the soil piece. I don't, know how many farmers and ranchers there are here on this call, but when you get those awesome sheets from different people that do the measuring for you, or if you do it yourself, sometimes it's hard to think of like, okay, how do I take this data and then explain it to our customers? So the new soil piece that we're trying to add, I'm really excited about. And then we threw this slide in there, talking about how regenerative is a food trend. And with our software, we're able to track all of our animals coming from all the different ranches that are EOV certified. And so we were able to take advantage of that new market trend that everyone's really excited about, but we obviously don't want to greenwash, and we want to make sure that like everybody is still excited about it, moving forward, and wanting to use their animals to take care of the earth. So thank you. And if there's any questions, just let us know. And hopefully that was an exciting software presentation.
Hi, I'm Curly, and this is Curly's Ag.
Congratulations again to our Small Farm Innovation Challenge winners for this year. Very exciting, genius innovations that were submitted. I also want to briefly mention the finalists of this last year's Small Farm Innovation Challenge. We had the Open Food Network USA, Multi-Purpose Pasture Pen, and EcoLife companies. You'll be able to view these innovations on the Small Farm Tech Hub website, along with the Innovation Challenge website once we get that site updated for this year. There is a form that you'll find on that website also posted in the chat where we are currently seeking judges and just starting to promote this challenge already for this upcoming year. In the summer, the portal will be open. And yeah, we're inviting all entrepreneurs, students, hackers, any farm-loving tinkers to propose their tech-based innovation that's going to help small-scale agriculture continue to compete, survive, and thrive going forward. So stay tuned. We wish we had more time for this coffee chat to have a discussion with our winners, but if you do have any questions or you'd like to be contacted by any of our innovation champions, please feel free to put your contact in the chat or send us an email and we can connect you to those innovation winners that you saw presented today. And also thank you to our sponsors who helped make the cash prizes, the other prizes from Johnny Selected Seeds, and yeah, just make this innovation challenge possible. So thank you. That concludes our coffee chat presentation. And there is our email, techhub@caf.org, if anyone would like to follow up. Thank you so much.